3, 2, 1. Hi everybody and welcome to Project 9, Animating Your Art with Code. If you've done Scratch coding before, this might be pretty easy, so I would challenge you in this assignment to try to get creative and maybe do a little extra on the visual front. If you haven't, it's very important to go slow and make sure that you're getting things right, because code can be very confusing if you just change a tiny little piece, and you need to watch and read the code that you are writing to make sure that it's right. Computer programming is something that people think is really complicated, but it's not. You are creating a set of instructions for the computer to run. The computer will then try to do what you've asked it to do. I'm excited to get into it, but when we start with code, we are just going to start with some basic animation, and we are going to animate the art that you did in Project 4 and Project 9. So what I want you to do is go to the Scratch website. What we are going to do, you can create an account if you want, but it doesn't matter because we are going to use the Scratch 3 beta, which officially launches next year in January. We are going to be operating what's called offline mode, which means that we have to save our files just like we've been saving PXDs in Pixlr. So what I want you to do is, after you go to Scratch, you can make an account if you want, and you want to scroll down to here, the next generation of Scratch. Try the beta now, and we're gonna click try it. And I'm gonna click try it. This is the palette area where we are going to bring in our code to create our animations. And what I'm going to do is, the first thing that you'll always see whenever you open up a Scratch project is the cat. And what I'm going to do is turn that off. I'm just going to click that X, make sure I get rid of it. The first thing I'm going to do is hover my mouse on choose a sprite, and then I'm going to move it up a little bit here, and I'm going to click the upload button. Now what I'm going to do is navigate to Project 4, and I am going to find the digital art that I made and saved in Project 4. I'm going to bring that in. So now you should see it on your board here. So I'm going to left click to make sure that I have that sprite. I'm going to go over here to costumes. I'm going to left click. I'm going to come down here. I'm going to hover my mouse and choose a costume, and then I'm going to click upload costume again. And what I'm going to do is go back to 0 CS Studio, and I'm going to go to project number 8 of vector art, and then I am going to bring in my vector mandala for Scratch. Hi everyone, I'm really sorry I forgot a little piece at the end of the last video. So what we're going to do is jump back into Sketch.io real quick, create a new image, and we're going to do 360 by 360 transparent, click create. Then what we're going to do is click sticker, load your own image, grab that vector mandala SVG we saved, and then we want to left click it and resize it so it fits exactly in the smaller space. Remember, you can use the keys to micro adjust. You just want to keep it dead center. Then what we want to do is go to layers. Remember to delete that background, and then we're going to save as an SVG, and we're just going to name it Vector Mandala for Scratch. What that's going to do is shrink down the large high quality 1080 by 1080 image we were doing, and it's going to reduce the lag in Scratch. So click save, replace it, and then we'll continue on. So make sure you're importing the smaller 360 by 360 version. Thanks. And when you've got your original artwork that you made for Project 4 and your Vector Mandala that you made for Project number 8, we should be good to go. And we are going to be ready to start coding. So what we want to do is make sure that we have clicked the animation back to our original artwork from Project 4, and we need to bring in some starting code to begin our animating. Now what we want to do first is we're going to click over to events and drag in when green flag is clicked. That green flag means start your app. So when you start your app, I'm going to go up to motion, and I am going to bring in go to XY. And I'm going to change those to 0, 0. Then I'm going to go to dark purple, and I'm going to bring in set size, and I'll leave that to 100%. Then I'm going to scroll down to the bottom of purple, and I'm going to bring in go to front layer. I'm going to change it to go to back layer. Then I'm going to bring in go forward one layer, and I'm going to change that to 0. Okay? So you should be dragging in your code and building exactly what I'm building right now. Now what we want to do is bring in the motion. So what we're going to do is click into control, and I'm going to bring in a forever loop. So just left click on that forever, bring it over. And now whatever we put in a forever loop will continue to happen. So we want some basic animation. So we're going to go back up to blue, and we're going to bring in a turn right 15 degrees. I'm going to change that to 1, and then I'm going to go back to events, control, and I'm going to put wait 0.01 seconds. So wait 1/100th of a second. And I'm going to press play. Now what that does, see that yellow outline? It means that this code is running right now. So it started and it put it in the center, it went to 0, 0, then it set the size to 100%, it went to the back layer, and then it moved forward 0 layers. And now it's just turning forever. If I wanted to increase the size or the speed at which it turns, I could increase that. I'm gonna leave it at 1. So now what I wanna do is I am going to right click on my sprite down here, and I'm going to click duplicate. When I left click on each of these, the code is running on both of them. So if I press play, it'll just start right away. But what I wanted to do is I want to make it a little bit smaller. I want to send it forward 1 layer, so it'll be on top of the background, the first one we did, and I want it to rotate the other way. I'm going to change that to 80 instead of 100. Then I'm going to click forward 1. Then I'm going to click -1. Now when I press play, you'll see that now I have 2 layers. One's a little bit smaller and it's moving the opposite way. So what I'm going to do at this point is I'm going to take this first one. I'm going to duplicate, 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 and 1 more. I'm going to left click on them in order, and I'm going to change 1 thing at a time. So first thing I'm going to change is my size. I went from 100 to 80, and then I'll click over the next one. I'll do 60, then I'll do 40, then I'll do 30, 20, 10, and 5. Next, I'm going to go forward layer. So it starts at 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. The last thing, so notice that our first one was 1 degree, and our second one was -1 degree. Third one, we want 1 degree. And then for our fourth one, we want that to be -1 again. Then our 5th one is positive, our 6th one is negative, our 7th is positive, and our 8th is going to be -1 again. So when you've done all that, what we're going to do is click our full screen, and we're going to click play. Okay, so notice now all of them, and you can see the layers and how they're overlapping each other. All of them are proper, they're moving in opposite directions, and there are 8 different layers. What you can do at this point, and you can experiment around, but if you notice how they're all moving at the same pattern, what we could do to change that is we could change the weight, or we could change the turn. So what I might do is, so I'm going 1 degree and -1. Maybe I want to do 1.1 and -1.1. So you can start to experiment with the size and the turning speed if you want. Please don't mess around with the layers. We do want the layers to increase just by 1. I want you to experiment by, if you left click on one of your sprites, you left click on the costumes, you could change the layer to your vector. Notice that your vector art is going to not look nearly as pixelated. It'll look pretty high quality. The other thing you could start to do is mix and match. So say for some of them, you wanted your original artwork, and for others, you wanted your vector. Basically, you're just going to switch these around to whatever you want, and then when you're happy with it, what we're gonna do next class is make a GIF out of the mandala that we are making. So what we need to do for now is that we're gonna save this. So we're gonna come up here and we're gonna click File. We're gonna click Download to your computer, and we are going to navigate to our Google Drive, My Drive, 0CS Studio, and we wanna create a new folder called 9-Animating Your Art with Code. You go in there, we're gonna save animated art, and that's all we're doing for today's assignment. So have a good time. I'm really excited to see what you make with your mandalas, and I'm even more excited to get to project 10, where whatever you decide to do with your mandala and it's the animation that you're making, we're gonna screencast that, and we are gonna turn your digital art into a GIF. I hope you had a good time and excited to see what you make. Bye.